In this video, I'm going to share with you guys 5 books that I read along the journey towards becoming a millionaire. Now, these are the first 5 books I read about personal development, growth. We're going to dive on in and talk about these books because whether or not I realize it, while these aren't my favorite books in personal development, business, money mindset, these 5 books are really powerful and had something to do with the shaping of my belief system, my blueprint for life, and ultimately got me started on the journey of building 2 businesses that have done multiple millions of dollars over the last 5 years. Let's cue that intro, and while the intro is playing, feel free to comment below and let me know, what are your favorite books? What books have been the most impactful for you? Hey everyone, my name is Rachel Pedersen. I'm a social media strategist and a marketing consultant for 8 to 10 figure businesses. I'm excited to share this video with you guys because a lot of times people will ask me what my favorite books are about, let's say, personal development or business or marketing, and they ask these questions, but once in a while someone will ask, what are the books you read before you became successful? And I'm super excited to share that with you here now today. Now, if you want a roundup of my favorite books, the ones that have had the biggest impact on me, my journey, my family, I would be so happy to share those with you. So comment favorite below. And if you guys ask, I'll go ahead and create a whole video about my 10 favorite books. So let's dive on in. I do want to say that before I started as an entrepreneur, I didn't read very many books about personal development or business or marketing. Growing up, my family was on again, off again in like poverty on WIC, and like one year my parents made $11,000 combined. I still don't really know how we made it through that year, but we did. And so it's interesting because I didn't have like a family member who was giving me advice about what books to read. So in the past, I read a lot of fiction books, and I still love fiction, but I'm very, very picky about fiction books. I have nothing against fiction books. I think that they're awesome. And I used to read a lot of books about like fantasy and mysterious worlds and make-believe worlds and universes. And if you want me to talk a little more about the fiction books that I have loved, comment fiction below. But this is about the books that, for whatever reason, came into my life and ended up like in my hand, as weird as that sounds, and it gave me a starting place to start building a different life. So the first book, and this is super interesting, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this one's really surprising to me because it was on the bookshelf growing up. And I still, to this day, I don't understand why it was on the bookshelf of my family's house. I don't understand who read it. I don't even think anyone in my family read it, if I'm being honest. I love them, but they just don't seem like they read that book. But this book was a really good introduction to me for like this possibility, this way of life that was totally different. And so that book got me thinking about the advice that I had gotten from family, from the community, from people around me in my life, and what people who had achieved not just success, but also specific success in finance, what they had done. And so Rich Dad, Poor Dad is really interesting. There's a lot inside of that book that I believe are timeless concepts, and there's some really interesting and radical differences about the way that, generally speaking, rich or wealthy people look at money. This one's a fascinating read. I would recommend this one 10 out of 10. The next book, this is one that was also on the bookshelves of my house growing up, and still to this day, I feel like I don't know who read this or how the heck it ended up in my life, but Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Now, I read this book when I was going through some really, really challenging and traumatic seasons of life. And what's interesting is I don't actually remember anything from this book. I just know that I read it and that the man who wrote it would sometimes be on TV, and that he was like this giant man with like a huge smile and big hands. And I can't recommend this book personally because I don't remember it. But I do know people who have read it more recently, and they've said that it is a phenomenal book. I actually probably should read that one again and see, because I just like blacked it out, which is kind of weird. Book number 3 that changed my life, Queen Bees and Wannabes. I read this book when I was 11 years old, and this book is by Rosalind Wiseman. This book is so fascinating, and this was super helpful because at that time I was going to a school with a bunch of girls who were very rich, and I was there on scholarship, and they were so cruel. They were next level mean girls, doing things to set me up for embarrassment, humiliation. There was a lot of like gaslighting and scary toxic behaviors. And the ringleader's dad was the pastor of the church that the private school was attached to. And so during this time, I was still going to this school. And so reading that book really helped me to understand a little bit about the dynamics of mean girls and queen bees and wannabes. So that book was a really fascinating read. And I think it's really helpful for anyone who either is going through bullying, has gone through bullying, or if your kids are going through bullying. That was a fascinating read and helped me to get through some of those times. Book number 4. I love how this one ended up in my hands. I was shopping at Goodwill. I think it was like over 6 years ago. So before I even started my own business, and I knew in my heart, I remembered from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that I wanted to build a massive business, and I didn't know if it was possible to become a millionaire, but I knew if I could learn about them, that maybe I could experience that proximity through book. And even if I couldn't get into networks with millionaires, maybe I could read books about them and buy them. And maybe that would give me some power and strength and confidence, almost like borrowing that while building up myself and my family. So The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. This book, I saw it on the shelf at Goodwill. And here's the crazy part. I bought the book for less than $1. I'm pretty sure I bought it for like a quarter. I think the sticker's actually still on it. But I read this book and I absolutely loved it. What I loved about this book is it challenged most of the beliefs about millionaires. Most millionaires actually drive Toyotas, and they have very modest sized homes, and they don't spend all of their money on Lambos or jets or anything like that. And it was a really great reality check for me that people who are trying to look like they're rich usually are the ones that are the most, nervous about losing it, versus people who actually live beneath their means tend to become millionaires and become more secure because they really, really are wise and they live beneath their means and invest money, whether it's into themselves or into stocks or real estate. This book is an amazing book, and for only 25 cents, I'm pretty sure the sticker's still on it on my shelves. It was an amazing introduction, and that was the first time where I was like, yes, I know for sure, like I want to build $1 million business. So book number 5 was the first book that I intentionally read as a business owner. I was still working hourly with clients for $15 an hour. That's right, $15 an hour. And I felt like I was charging like a baller. I felt pretty cool about that. But this book is called The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And that book is really helpful for me to understand some of the differences between building a business versus working with clients versus passive income, and all of the different ways that you can build a business that is leveraged without like ripping people off or scamming. So that book was an amazing read, and it turns out a lot of other people also love that book. So it was a pretty good early introduction to personal development, business, marketing. So there you have it, the 5 books that changed my life. Comment favorite below if you want to hear my favorite books. Is there a certain topic you want me to cover when it comes to books? Comment below and let me know. What kind of books would you like me to talk about? I do have some favorite fiction books. I will give you this warning. When it comes to fiction, I like fiction that makes me cry a lot. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a like. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the future videos coming. And we have some awesome resources in the bio beneath this video. I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now. I'm excited to share this tutorial. It's not a tutorial. We gotta start that over. I can't recommend this book only because I just don't recommend.